Hello, it's September 8th, 2022, and welcome to S Rank Media Club Live. Uh, Important note for the day 834 days until Sonic the Movie 3. Obviously, top of the news every week.
What
You
if it
get,
gets delayed? What are you gonna do?
I, I'm going to be really sad that we're so close to the movie and they're delaying it. Um, they probably are going to start making it sometime in the next 100 days.
Well, what if
So
they do a Sonic 1 on a Sonic 3 where they just totally mess up and then everybody's like, no, this sucks, and they have to remake it.
But they've already gotten past that, though.
Okay, they won't
All
make that
right.
mistake again.
Yeah, our blue boy's all set now.
Okay.
Um, in less important news today, we have some live podcasting with us. We're going to be doing ranking of video game movies, Mortal Kombat, the reboot from 2021, and ranking of Cage, episode number I can't remember.
I
The
think
Boy in
8.
Blue. Are we up to 8? I'll get that figured out before we do the
Yeah.
segment. But yeah, The Boy in Blue, a classic tale of a rower. Yeah, so how's the week been?
Been busy.
Yeah.
I know long weekend was nice, but started my new job, so I'm getting into it now, but yeah, I didn't have too many new things, at least for me. I played some Peggle. I was just surfing on the PC Game Pass store, and then I saw Peggle. I'm like, oh, that's a fun game, just BS around with. So it's like, oh, I'll just
Yeah.
download it real fast.
Quinn was telling me about Peggle, and I was like, I've heard of that game, and I feel like it's been like marketed to me before, but I don't actually know what it is.
Yeah, it was like back in the Xbox 360 days. Like if you just remember going on the Xbox store or whatever, it was usually on the front page or something like that all the time, like trying to get you to buy it.
That's
Um,
definitely where I saw it.
it's one of those it's like an arcade style game where you drop a metal ball onto the pegs, and then you have to get rid of the red pegs to win the level, and it's kind of like a, I don't know, just a easy mindless game that you can
So
play.
is it kind
You
of
can go
like
over high
that
scores and stuff too.
Price is Right game, Plinko?
Uh,
Are you too
yeah.
young for the Price is Right?
I
Like
know, I know the Price is Right, but the Peggle is more of it's a strategic because you can control where you drop the ball, and there's an arc, so you can shoot it in
Yeah.
different directions, and you can you don't have to get rid of all the pegs either. You just need to get rid of the red pegs, and then there's power ups and stuff like that, and then you try to get the highest score in the run.
Mhm.
But it's pretty fun. Yeah, you can get it for free through the EA Play subscription that's
Oh,
offered
okay.
through PC Game Pass.
Yeah, right. PC Game Pass. That's pretty cool with PC Game Pass. How you get all the EA Play games.
Right.
Yeah,
So yeah. And then we also played this weekend. We played a scary game called Labyrinthine.
Labyrinthine.
Yeah,
Never heard of
it's on
it.
Steam. It's like a it's kind of like a co-op story scary game that you play,
Okay.
where you have to go through sort of a quest style story and escape the labyrinth, we'll call it.
Mhm.
And there, you can die from the ghosts or the spirits or whatever. But yeah, so this one was in a swamp area, so there was alligators and leeches and these weird monsters. I don't even know what
Mhm.
they were, but it was pretty scary, but it was fun. And you use what's it, the voice chat within the game, so it's proximity chat. So
Oh
if
yeah,
you
yeah.
get lost, then you can't hear. And so
Proximity chat's like a beautiful lost art that everyone uses outside of game chat
right,
typically, so you can't enforce it anymore. But man,
right,
proximity chat's such a cool idea. It just doesn't work in practice anymore.
yeah, you really have to commit to it,
Hmm.
and not many games if they do have it, they don't really put that much effort into
Yeah,
it, so it's
I
usually
think
pretty low quality.
right, and you run the risk of alienating people because it require proximity chat almost requires a specific oh, I'm wearing headphones and I'm tuned into the sound of this game. You
Right.
know, whereas depending on what you're playing, people could be listening to music. You know, they could be in a voice chat blaring on their speakers sound so everybody else can hear it through their microphone.
Right.
So
Right.
nobody can hear anything at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
But
That
yeah,
that's
other
on
than
like
that,
that's on a top list of worst party members. The guy who's blaring music on outside speakers into his microphone. Then you can just
I
hear him
was
like mashing on his keyboard.
yeah, or the fan in the background just blaring. That was
Yeah.
always the bad one. Or like their mom yelling at them.
Mhm.
Just who knows what's going on in the party. But yeah, I think it's pretty cheap on Steam, so it'd be
Yeah.
something if you have a couple friends. Like I think we only played for like maybe an hour and a half. We beat like one run, so yeah. But
Interesting.
but yeah, that was about it. I got back to Golden Valorant, so that was exciting this weekend. But yeah,
Nice.
what about you guys?
I got up to plat in Rocket League before the season ended. Um yeah. I was
Yeah,
dominating
I
people for a good day.
I've been trying to slowly play games so I can play with you. I'm pretty sure I'm in like gold plat now. I haven't played all my placements yet, but
Oh,
we'll see.
nice.
So
Yeah, I got enough currency from the last battle pass that I can just buy the next one. So I'll probably do that.
yeah, that's one of my favorite things about the Rocket League Battle Pass is like you only have to buy it once if you truly like play enough. So it's not that bad.
Um Speaking of battle passes, did you guys see the Overwatch 2 stuff?
Yeah, I
Which
just saw it
part?
today.
Oh my gosh. So I guess Blizzard, or what do you call them now? Can we call them Blizzard still, or is
Isn't that
that
like Blizzard Activision? I
right?
don't
But
know if
like
Microsoft has finished that buyout, if
anyways,
that's even gone through.
Microsoft Blizzard Activision came out today and said that but like, oh, maybe we're gonna charge money for additional heroes, or you can get them in like a battle pass that you buy. And
Right.
I read this and like I'm like, you know what? The cynic in me is like, I know that right now on Twitter, if I go look, people are gonna be raging about this. That, you know, how can they charge us money? And I went and looked, and sure enough, there were a bunch of people on Twitter complaining that this is a competitive game. How can they charge us for these heroes? And I think it's a lot of bullshit. I don't. It's literally a free to play game. There's like this. My rant is like there's like this misconception among like some segment of the gamer population. I like to believe it's not a big segment. I like to believe it's just a loud segment that anything that you have to pay for is like, let's get mad about it. And the argument you see about Overwatch 2 is like, oh well, there is it's a competitive game, you need to be able to switch to all the heroes. Like, okay, so how much is the battle pass going to cost? Like, is the battle pass $10 or $15? How long can you buy the battle pass for $60 or $70? What games cost? Like, how long can you essentially just pay for the battle pass in comparison to the cost of the game? And like, to just assume that literally development time on massive games like this should be free and that the company's not going to try to make money is like, it's impossible. Like, as a company trying to make profit, I mean, video game companies fail all the time on releasing like a string of 2 or 3 bad games. They literally fail. Now, I understand a lot of these companies make money and there's bad practices and freemium models, but to attack anytime a company ever comes out with an idea to make profit, it's not like it's a pay to win mechanic. And it seems like you can actually play to get the heroes too. Again, we've only seen like 2 tweets about this, I think, and then the rage storm
Right.
went off. So I think just in general, like, it frustrates me when, because the new systems are really cool that I can go play a bunch of these games for free, and then if I really like them, I can spend money. Whereas like when I was growing up, that was not a thing. You paid $60 for a game, and like as a child, you as like a kid, you can't buy that many. So like this system's amazing. And like people are like mad that, oh, I get 30 characters when they come out with new ones, people can buy them, or I have to buy a battle pass. I can't like be against that. Like at some point the companies have to make profit, and especially if it's a continually developed game, like they need a profit over the longer term. And also most other games will have like characters you purchase, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Well,
yeah.
you're not that old, Colton. When I was growing up, I had games I had to pay for the whole
No,
game.
sure, but I mean, no, you too though. I mean, like people who are like 15 to 18 now
No, yeah, I
probably
know what you're
don't
saying.
like have like literally all they've known is these freemium games, and
Right,
I don't know, it just frustrates me because it's like
right.
it's like it should just everything should just be free.
Yeah,
Like,
I think it's a product of. I think mobile games was like the big
yeah,
first step, right,
right.
for like
Mhm.
freemium games,
Hmm.
and then I think Fortnite was probably like the next big step in terms of
Yeah,
like console and PC. So
right.
it's
Mhm.
definitely been a quick
Yeah.
change, I
And
think.
yeah, and there's like stuff out there that's like not great, but you know that there is going to be stuff where you're going to have to pay money to play games.
Right. Yeah.
Um, yeah. So, anyways, I'd been just
Well, I would say I think just my last 2 cents. I would
yeah,
say obviously, like you said, we don't have that much information, but as long as there's still a way to unlock them as a free player, I don't think there's a problem. I mean, you can dislike that you can buy them, but like you said, they're
yeah,
trying to make money. Obviously, like
Mhm.
they're clearly a for-profit company. You
right.
know what their motives are. So, I mean, as long as the gameplay is good, I would say that, that's something to expect, I guess.
Yeah, and I think it's great if there is always a free way to get every character. That would be really cool. Even if there wasn't, I don't know if I'm too mad, but yeah, that'd be it's yeah. So anyways, this is a topic that's going to be just in the news for the next years. So, um, so I've been playing a bunch of Dragon's Dogma: Dark Arisen. I think I'm near 30 hours now. I played a bunch over the weekend. Um, that game is really cool. Uh, it's like an open world RPG, but the combat system is it's like it's real time combat with heavy like RPG stats, but it plays kind of like Monster Hunter. Like the combat weirdly has Monster Hunter vibes. And then I looked at it and I'm like, oh right, it's made by Capcom. So I have to think like they took some of their combat system inspiration for Monster Hunter. You can cut pieces off of monsters, you can climb on monsters and stab them. Um, it's just the combat system is like a little bit janky in like a old RPG kind of way, but it works. And sometimes it gives you Monster Hunter vibes, and it's like an addicting kind of combat system to play through. So the story's maybe a bit thin, and like it's like a constant run through. Like the main quests are just like a bunch of smaller quests, but so far I haven't really cared because it's kind of like you can explore the map, do a bunch of the combat system. Um, so Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen, surprisingly a really fun game. But yeah, I'm gonna keep playing that. It's really cool. It's got this system where you have you and a main pawn, and then you have two other party members that are pawns, they call them, and they're just like the pawns obey you because you're the arisen. But the pawns you can get, the other two pawns, are you go into this like rift space and you can get other people's pawns in your party, like other players that play the game. So you can like search for pawns based on stats and kind of cycle through those other two party members. There's like flaws in the system, but it does make me excited for what a Dragon's Dogma 2 could bring. It's an interesting system, if nothing else. It feels fresh kind of to play it. Um, yeah,
Correct me
so
if
I
I'm wrong. Isn't Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen already Dragon's Dogma 2? Because I swear there was a first one a number of years back.
I don't believe so. I believe Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen is like the remastered whatever version of Dragon's Dogma.
Is
And
it?
I don't know. I could be wrong, but I
Oh,
believe it
I'll
is
look
the
it up.
first one. And I believe the second one, they announced the second one a couple months ago. Um, yeah, so I spent a lot of time doing that.
Nope, you're
And
right. Okay, never mind. I'm wrong.
yeah, so, so that's most of what I did. I
You gonna
watched.
watch the Netflix version of that game? I saw they have a Netflix like show.
of
Dragon's Dogma anime.
There's a Dragon's Dogma anime.
There is on Netflix. He is correct.
Yeah,
I have not
Netflix.
watched it.
I'll do it for the S Rank Media Club. I'll watch the Dragon's
Okay.
Dogma anime. I'll report back next week.
From the story, do you think it's good? Do you think it could be good or no?
No, I'm not playing this. I mean, it's like trying to have a story, but that's definitely not why I'm playing the game. It's fine.
So that's
I
why
laugh
they made
at-
the show. So there could be a story.
Yeah, maybe companion show. I will watch it for the S Rank Media Club. The only other thing I did was watch the first 2 episodes of the Lord of the Rings show on Amazon. So won't spoil anything. I'm enjoying it so far. I'm definitely going to keep watching it, but yeah, I won't say too much on that at this point.
I've only gotten through 1 episode of it, but I do already find myself wondering how much of the lore they're butchering.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
I heard some stuff about that, about like some issues. There was already some controversy, right? I don't know the specifics.
Could you make like a Lord of the Rings show? No matter what you did, there's gonna be lore controversy, right?
I don't know. I don't know that much about Tolkien lore
What if
outside
Tolkien
of.
isn't he the one that is he writing it or is he involved in any way
He's
in it?
dead.
Oh right. What?
Sorry, rest in
No.
peace. It's his son.
I don't know. I was thinking George R.R. Martin. Not
Oh yeah, George R. R. Martin.
Sorry, wrong guy. Like I was
No, that'd
thinking,
be
oh, he's still alive.
that'd be pretty funny. Yeah, well,
Sorry,
the new Lord of the Ring show. It's got George R. R. Martin attached to help build out the lore.
I apologize.
Game of the Rings.
I apologize. Tolkien.
I'm gonna go post this clip on the Lord of the Rings Reddit boards.
Oh, they'll be pissed. Because I'm not really I haven't watched. I mean, I've watched a few.
You hate it.
Lord of
It's
the
okay.
Rings.
You hate Lord of the
No,
Rings.
it just
That's
didn't draw me in.
you hate it.
Like everybody else, I guess.
No, I don't know. I don't know enough about the lore, so I haven't been offended by the lore. But we'll see where it goes. I guess
The estate of Tolkien hasn't come out against it yet or anything like that.
Well, they're technically part of it, and also they don't have the grounds to anymore because the rights are sold to Embracer Group, right?
Oh, that's true.
For future, but because it's a TV series that's already going, they can continue with that TV series. So,
Gotcha.
Yeah,
shows you how much I know.
Yeah. I've only watched 1 episode of it, but it's not too bad so far. But I'll be curious to see where it goes.
There you go. Kudra's official rating. Not too bad.
Not bad. My go-to.
Did we get any more Xenoblade this week, Kudro?
No, I have not. I've actually been binging Hades. I am determined to finish.
Oh, you're going to finish all the runs.
Oh, I mean, at this point, I haven't actually lost a run in quite a bit. The only run I did was the only run I've lost in recent memory was when I accidentally triggered a secret boss fight, and I kind of got stomped.
Was it Heracles? Was it Hercules?
Do you want me to spoil things, or
was it or was it not Hercules? That's all I want to know.
It was not Hercules.
Okay, I was just curious because I said when they talk about Hercules, I'm like, I bet I find Hercules in here somewhere.
I mean, if he's in the game, I haven't found him yet.
Yeah, that's all I wondered. I have no reason to believe it. I just made it up in my own head.
But yeah, so I cleared through the. I cleared enough of the. I cleared enough to where it's like I beat the main story.
Mm-hmm.
I finished that part, saw the credits, and now I'm currently doing epilogue runs to try to, I guess try to get the epilogue scene that I suspect is coming.
Nice.
That'll probably serve as the game's finale, so to speak.
So do you think they make a Hades 2 where he goes to fight all the gods on Mount Olympus or some shit? Like it just turns into God of War?
With what I suspect the ending they're going for and with what I suspect they're going for in the epilogue, I don't think that's going to happen.
I gotcha. They're not the type of studio to do that.
No, I mean, I don't know that much about Supergiant's other games, but if they're as well crafted as Hades is, I'm tempted to start looking up some of their biographies.
Oh, I think they're all regarded as good games, but I mean, Hades is it's Hades.
Hades has knocked it out of the park. Like the more that I play Hades, the more it's just reinforcing the S plus rating. I have been unlocking the hidden aspects of. I've got 3 of the 5 weapons at this point. I still need to unlock the hidden aspect of the gun and the fists. I haven't gotten those 2 yet.
Gotcha.
Which is interesting with the hidden aspects because here's the thing, like they swing a lot slower, but they do a lot more damage.
More tactical.
Yeah, you have to be a lot more tactical with things.
Sounds like a weapon I don't want to use.
So the one that I literally just cleared a run of it about an hour ago was with the hidden aspect of the shield, which has probably been my least favorite weapon that I used to date. But it's still good. Still cleared the run, but
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's still the best weapon, so it's whatever.
I don't know. God, that's hard. I still think the fists are really good. The gun has grown on me the more that I've used it.
Well, outvoted. Shield wins.
I would actually. I think my least favorite weapon is the bow. I think the bow is my least favorite. Shield is good. Shield is good. Sword is good. All the weapons are good, but I think bow is my least favorite.
All right. Yeah. Well, should we rank Mortal Kombat?
Let's do it. Give me one second. I'll be right back.
You're good. Kudro, tell a joke in our break here.
You ask me this every time, and I don't have a joke for you.
What else? I saw. What did I see today?
I'm trying to think. Let's see.
All right. Well, time's up. You get kicked off the stage.
I was gonna say the Switch OLED, is that new OLED?
Are you talking about the Pokemon version of it? The Scarlet Violet Pokemon version?
Yeah, but has there already been a regular OLED?
Yeah, the regular OLED. That's what Kudro's got one of those.
When did that come out?
Last year?
Yeah, a year ago, I think.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I ended up got a white color of the OLED.
The white one was when it came out, and it's a better screen, but it's essentially the same functionality. It's not really
the same battery as well.
I think
it's got a slightly longer battery life. I think it has the oh my god, I can't even think of what it's called now. A hard connection for the internet.
It's got an Ethernet port?
It has an Ethernet port. Thank you.
Shit, dude. You can play some sick Street Fighter on that thing, probably, with your Joy-Cons.
It also has double the hard drive space, so...
you can store like 2 games now.
I mean, right now I've got 3 games on there, because... Actually, no, 4. So I've got Xenoblade 2, I've got Smash Bros, I've got Ender Lilies, and I've got Breath of the Wild, and I haven't had to delete any of those yet.
Thanks for reading us all the games on your hard drive.
You're welcome. I'm just saying, it's like, and 3 of those are big games. So.
Yeah, big games. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, to me, it sounds like Nintendo did just enough just to sell a few extra Switches. Nothing groundbreaking.
But they don't have to do anything. They've already won.
That's what I'm saying.
They've already won the game. They're going to put out whatever the hell they want to, and you're going to buy it.
What about the Steam, whatever it's called?
The Steam Deck?
Yeah, the Steam Deck.
I mean, I'm sure that's like pushing on it a little bit with the indie games, but as long as they come out with a new Switch in the next 2 years that has some more power, they'll probably just be completely fine. Like if the new like Zelda game comes out, new Mario game, and they're good, what are you going to do? If the new Zelda game comes out and it's awesome, I'm going to buy the new Switch. Like, it's hard to like.
That's true.
I don't think they're making a new Switch, but. Or they better not be making a new Switch. If I bought the OLED Switch and now they're going to release
it wouldn't be it'd probably be next year.
I'd still be annoyed.
I'd be happy because I'll buy it, but yeah, no. I mean, if you want Switch news, listen to Game Mess Mornings with Jeff Grubb or follow Wario64. They're probably the best people on like updates on that. But it seems like it might be next year. I hope it's next year.
Switch been out?
It's 2017. 2017, I want to say.
2017.
I know it's been a minute. I'll take a look.
Nintendo Switch. Wikipedia.
March 3rd, 2017.
Oh.
So good at
Got
this
it.
game.
I'm about to say it's only been out for about 5.5 years at this point. So
it was kind of slow when it came out, to be fair. So I don't know.
And that's
I would
the other
like
thing too.
I'm all for a new one. I'll pay $400 if you give me a better Switch.
I mean, I guess that's fair, but with the chip shortages still kind of being what they are, I don't know if Nintendo would do that right now.
Then if Nintendo was smart, they'd put here's like a slightly better, cooler version for like $100 more, and I'd be like, well, I probably got to buy that one.
Oh, I mean, to be fair, it's kind of what the white OLED is.
Right, but I already had one, so that was a harder sell. But if they just put two right beside me and gave me like a measly upgrade for a more expensive one, I'd be like, yeah, I probably want that.
You mean like the iPhone, like how Apple does their iPhones, where it's like, oh, you get 128 gigs, and then for only $100 more, you can double your storage.
Man, so many like tech companies. I mean, Apple's egregious with it, but like the way they charge you for fucking storage, it's like, oh, here's a hard drive that costs us like $15 more on the production end. It's $150 more for you to get it. But yeah.
And just thinking back to the original like amount of data that used to be on one iPhone. Oh,
right.
8 gigabyte or the 16 gigabyte.
Yeah. Yeah. Mortal Kombat.
Yeah. Should we start ranking it? Should we go into it?
Let
me pull up a plot summary.
All right. Quinn's gonna open it up for us here.
Ready to go.
All right, Quinn, you wanna intro it for us then?
Yeah, I can intro it.
Let me tell you what episode this is. This is part 5 of ranking of video game movies.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh, here we go. All right. Everybody good?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yep. Welcome to S Rank Media Club podcast. We're ranking video games. This episode is episode 5, and we're ranking the latest installment of Mortal Kombat from 2021. I'm here with Kudrow and Colton.
Hi.
Yeah. Yep. We'll just get right into a little plot summary here, and then we'll get into the kind of a scene by scene talk about it, and give you our opinions and thoughts and stuff like that. So, so from IMDb, MMA fighter Cole Young, accustomed to taking a beating for money, is unaware of his heritage or why Outworld's Emperor Shang Tsung has sent his best warrior, Sub-Zero, an otherworldly cryomancer to hunt Cole down. Fearing for his family's safety, Cole goes in search of Sonya Blade at the direction of Jax, a special forces major who bears the same strange dragon marking Cole was born with. Soon he finds himself at the temple of Lord Raiden, an elder god and protector of Earthrealm, who we know as the god of thunder, or god of lightning, I should say. And he grants Cole sanctuary to those who bear the mark. Here, Cole trains with experienced warriors Liu Kang and Kung Lao and a rogue mercenary Kano as he prepares to stand with Earth's greatest champions against the enemies of Outworld in a high-stakes battle for the universe, Mortal Kombat. Will Cole be pushed hard enough to unlock his arcana, the immense power from within his soul, in time to save not only his family, but to stop Outworld once and for all?
Did they call Scorpion a cryomancer?
Sub-Zero.
Or sorry, Sub-Zero.
Yeah.
That's sick.
Yeah, that's kind of what he is. So
I know, but I never thought about it like that. This makes him even cooler than he was before.
Yeah. Got to give it to it was Warner Brothers who wrote the description, so they got someone that's being paid the big bucks writing that one.
Got that advanced vocabulary.
Yeah, so we open on the scene from but it doesn't give a specific time period, but like feudal era.
Yeah, I would say so.
Right. We have a guy who's just just kind of farming his field with his family, and then you see his yellow fringes on his jacket that look kind of scorpion like. And then you see his wife digging with a little dagger that looks kind of scorpion like. And then he goes off to get some water from the river. And then his family's back at the farm, and the famed cryomancer, Sub Zero from the Lin Kuei show. Is he the Lin Kuei? Which?
Yep, Lin Kuei is Bihan's clan, or
Right.
Sub-Zero.
Bihan, in this case, who then murders Scorpion's family. And Scorpion hears the screams, runs back, has a fight with Sub-Zero, where Sub-Zero kills him, and he's so upset he goes down to hell.
Right, and we get a little taste of Scorpion's move set, we'll say, right? With his, he ties the kunai knife to the rope and kind of swings it around and fights like that. And Hanzo is his name, right? Scorpion's name.
Yep.
He's Japanese, correct?
Yeah, I believe it's.
And then Sub-Zero is Chinese.
Yeah, this was unclear to me before, but yeah, the way they talk in the movie, it seems like that's the case. And I don't know if that was like canon previously. Maybe it was, but this is the first time that's been apparent to me.
Yeah. So then it kind of.
Well, I'd say before we go on to the next scene, I would probably make a note. It's like, so before Bihan kills the family, Hanzo's wife takes an infant, hides it below the floorboards, and it survives the fight. Raiden appears on the scene after the fight is done, takes the child, and takes it somewhere safe.
Right, and then that's kind of the beginning scene, and then it goes into the Mortal Kombat across the screen, right?
Yeah. Then we go to modern day, essentially, right?
Yeah, but there's no Mortal Kombat music, so I immediately shut it off.
That's Like, what if they just cut in the exact same intro scene? I would have loved it.
Mortal Kombat. I was waiting for it, but it never came. So.
After Annihilation, they're probably like, "Oh, maybe we don't bring that back."
Yeah. But yeah, then it goes to the best
part of Annihilation.
Right. Then it goes to the current day where we meet Cole, who's that amateur MMA fighter, and he's talking to a woman before a fight, and they're talking about whether he should fight or not. And it doesn't seem like anybody has any faith in him. No, nobody thinks he's going to win. Right. That's kind of what they say. And then so he goes and he does the fight regardless, and it looks like pretty promising in the beginning. Like he's getting some strikes, but in MMA, if there's you're striking, but then there's also like the wrestling and grappling that happens, and ultimately he gets out grappled by his opponent and taps out and loses. So yeah, and then I think that's pretty much all the important parts of that. It's just kind of a taste of Cole's fighting, and then
kind of like he's like a washed up fighter, right?
Right. He's nothing special.
Mm-hmm. Well, his special power is getting his ass kicked. So.
Right. And then we get our first taste of kind of the mysterious nature of what's his name? I can never remember his name. Shang Tsung. Yeah. It kind of cuts to the Outworld, I believe, right?
Yeah, where Sub-Zero's talking to Shang Tsung.
Right, and they're talking about the 10th tournament of Mortal Kombat, which we know as, you have to win 10 Mortal
Kombat
tournaments.
Mortal Kombat story.
Yep.
Right. 10 Mortal Kombat tournament wins to take over the realm.
They're definitely not reinventing the wheel here.
Yeah, to allow them to invade.
Right.
Right, they got to kill all the heroes.
Yeah, so they have to kill all the champions, and Shang Tsung's like, oh, we need to get rid of Hanzo, and Sub-Zero's like, oh, I already did that like centuries ago or something like that. And he's like, well, we don't want to leave this to chance, so go to Earth and kill everybody.
Right, because there's some ancient
prophecy.
Legend, that Shang Tsung's like afraid of. But Sub-Zero he's like, I killed that guy. I'm not afraid of that.
Oh, the whole thing, yeah. What was the whole thing? Like the blood of Hanzo Hasashi
Mhm.
will unite this generation of Earth Realms champions.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So then we kind of cut back to Earth, and Jax. Well, I guess we should have mentioned Jax had shown up to the fight, the MMA fight, and he was kind of just hanging around. And then he kind of talks to Cole, and it's like, oh, like he gets to see the mark from Cole, and Jack's like, oh, that's our guy. Like he knows because Jax has the same mark as well. And so they kind of
show you mine, I'll show you yours.
Right. So they kind of part ways, and then they're out. Like Cole and his family are like out eating dinner, and then it starts snowing, and they're like, oh, it's July, why is it snowing? And then Sub-Zero just comes out of nowhere and starts essentially wreaking havoc. And then Jax shows up in his SUV, his Chevrolet Suburban, and is like, get in the car, we gotta go. It's very like Transformers vibes.
Yeah. Very like superhero movie kind of stuff going on almost.
Like, yeah. Oh yeah, we met you. Yeah, we'll follow you. We'll get in the car. Like what?
I mean, I'd be afraid of the Iceman too, just there.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Well, lesser of evils.
But like when they were driving away, it was just like snowballs hitting the side of the car. I was like, that's not really like intimidating. Like there's just snowballs hitting your car. Like
yeah. I guess the intimidation before was when he dropped all the ice and was beating the shit out of everyone there at the food place. But yeah, because then they go, and then somehow Sub-Zero's already where they're driving to, and then like Jax tells Cole to take his family to Gary, Indiana, and find Sonya Blade, and I guess he gives him an address.
The Crossroads of America.
Yeah. So then Cole leaves, and then Jax goes to chase after Sub-Zero inside this like factory looking place where Jax gets in a fight with Sub-Zero. And we really see the power of Sub-Zero's ice, where he freezes Jax's arms and breaks them off, and then kind of throws him to the side, and essentially just leaves him there.
Yeah, this is a theme where it's like Sub-Zero's a really terrible assassin.
But I think more so he's just full of his own power. Like he doesn't think Jax could ever harm him. So he's like, I fucked up this guy's arms. I'm done with this. Well, Sub-Zero's a man who's been king assassin for 1,000 years. He doesn't. Right. He's not afraid of any of these people. I think that's what they're trying to portray. Now you could argue that's dumb, but I think that's the idea. It's just
the whole thing is like Shang Tsung specifically says, like, I need you to go kill Earth Realms champions. How many people does Sub-Zero actually kill in the movies? I'm pretty sure the count is 0. Well, I guess technically he kills Scorpion in the beginning. But,
I was going to say, first kill in the movie.
Well, technically, though, he was Bi-Han at that time. He wasn't even Sub-Zero. So Sub-Zero's technical kill count is 0.
But back to Colton's point, remember, like, he was talking to Shang Tsung. He's like, yeah, I don't need to, like, do anything.
Yeah,
like, I killed him already. Like, who cares? So he's already cocky.
Yeah, he's not like, oh, Shang Tsung, yes, I want to do whatever you say. He's kind of like, I'm pretty cool.
Yeah. And, I mean, the writers had to somehow be able to give Jax his metal arms, too, so it's kind of just worked out.
I thought it was a pretty cool scene where he did the arm ice thing. I thought was, like, terrifyingly gruesome.
Good effects,
I thought so.
No, but it's a cool scene. It's just
Sub-Zero, I think if you're gonna, I think if you're making a movie of Mortal Kombat, like if you're trying to, there's gonna be some cheese. I don't think that's avoidable because of literally the idea of the base idea of Mortal Kombat. But anyways, so we have Cole who's going to find Sonya with his family, his family just disappears at this point after he jumps over the fence to see Sonya.
Oh no, he drops them off somewhere.
Does he drop?
They're like a hotel. They're like a motel, and he's like,
okay,
I do this myself.
Flew by me because I know they end up back at home later. But so he goes to see Sonya Blade in like some shitty
trailer
looking,
park.
Yeah. And then Sonya Blade, you meet her, and she's like, "Show me your mark." So he does, and she's like, "Oh, cool, you got the mark." they go inside, and Sonya's got like this hidden bunker in the back of her house. She says like, we've been following this for 7 years, trying to figure out all this stuff. And Sonya then shows all these pictures of Mortal Kombat things. Like you see Nightwolf and you see Kotal Khan like in the pictures. Like it's like, oh, there's different realms and stuff. And then there's like a picture on the wall, and then there's a picture and it says Mortal Kombat. And Cole's like, what do you mean they didn't even spell it right? And that was amazing, where he points out that they spelled combat wrong. And then
I just always thought the letter C just doesn't exist in the Mortal Kombat universe.
That's true. So. Yeah. But then we see that the most entertaining character of the movie, Sonya has held captive, and that's Kano, which we learned from the first movie. He has an Australian accent. Yep. And so Sonya had captured Kano because Kano had killed a previous target who had a dragon stamp. So Kano now had a dragon stamp himself. So then from here, they get attacked by a reptile. It seems like there's like multiple reptiles in the lore. But it's like a very muscular looking fighter fighting like reptile thing that spits acid out of its mouth. Oh, he has a name.
Yeah,
except he never did that. He has this ridiculously powerful acid, yet other than melting like, what was it, a chain in his mouth?
Yeah, he didn't actually spray it, right?
Yeah, he took a knife out of himself and put it in his mouth, and it melted.
And then he never uses it in the fight itself.
Right. So they get in a fight with the reptile, and things go as you'd expect. The reptile's invisible, so they stick a flare in it, and then eventually Sonya does a flip through the air while Cole throws a knife to her and stabs it. And then Kano does this fatality of ripping the heart out. And he even says Kano wins, which I feel like is that line is kind of, depending on which character says it, could be like too cheesy. But with Kano's character, I think the line Kano wins actually fits because he's like a self-obsessed like prick.
Right.
In this movie, so I actually liked that line when he said it. Anyways, once they kill the reptile, they go, and Kano's trying to leave, and Kano basically alludes to the fact that he knows where Raiden is, or Raiden's temple. Mm-hmm. So then Sonya convinces him by falsely claiming to be able to pay him $3 million to take them to the temple. So then they go in a plane because Kano's got a friend who owns a plane. And then they take parachutes, jump out of the plane in the middle of some sort of desert place. And then they start walking towards the temple. Eventually they get to close to the temple, and they see Liu Kang. They don't know it's Liu Kang. Liu Kang comes up, and in a great scene, Kano says, "Don't come any closer." And then Liu Kang just shoots a fireball at him and knocks him over. I think he might call him a bitch too, but then they go. He didn't. It was
very offensive things.
It was movie, so. Kudro's looking like he didn't say that. That's true. He did not.
I remember him saying something. I just don't remember what the line was.
Yeah. So then, basically, they then like, oh, okay, we shouldn't try and kill each other. Let's go to Raiden's temple. So then Liu Kang leads them there, opens a secret door. They get to Raiden's temple. They meet Raiden, and Raiden kind of looks at him, and he's like, wow, this is what we have. And Raiden basically says they're all worthless pieces of shit. And
he's not wrong.
Yeah. So then after that, Cole's like, but I got to fight for my family. And then Raiden's like, okay. And then they're like, all right, well, I guess you guys better start training. So from there, do we see Jax here, or do they start training first? I think we see Jax now with his arm.
Jax, yeah.
Because they have Jax and they're healing him. Well, basically, they're giving Jax his metal arms.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know if I think it's sort of important since Sonya doesn't have a mark, she's not allowed to train.
Oh, right.
So she gets kind of like pushed to the side, and is like, so then that's where she interacts with Jax and like finds Jax.
Can we talk about the Kano lines every time Sonya doesn't have a mark? There's a part where where she goes to train and the Kung Lao's like, you don't have a mark, you can't, and he's like, fucking whoops. And he just then before that, when they're back at the trailer and she's like, he says something about I don't have a mark, he's in the background and very quietly he says wah wah. Oh man, fucking Kano.
Those are probably like unscripted too. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of those like remarks are unscripted, where he's just like method acting,
right?
Like, it was totally gets into it.
Yeah, but
he's the best actor of the first Mortal Kombat movie and the remake.
Yeah, probably in the first one. Yeah, I liked Liu Kang in the earlier ones. I think I like most of the actors in this one. But yeah, so they're training and Shang Tsung tries to invade, come into the temple. But Raiden, you know, he just fucking shows up and he's like, nah, dude, and he just puts up a magic barrier. So then they're kind of in safety, at least until the tournament. And they're going to train in there and sit in there and they talk and they train, and Kung Lao and Liu Kang kind of beat up all of them. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, one thing I was going to say is in the Mortal Kombat universe, like the Elder Gods are like these some powerful people, but they don't do shit.
Yeah, they don't interfere until they want to.
Right. Like there's all these rules that the Elder Gods put in place, but they don't enforce them. They're like, I don't know.
Well, that's because
I guess they remind me of like kind of like in Greek mythology, like
they're the Elder Gods.
There's all these rules, right?
Kind of do what they want. Like we made these rules, but
right.
It just makes me almost remind me of like the Pirates of the Caribbean. Like they're more like guidelines than actual rules.
That's true.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So then we got. No, it's all right. You want to talk about the Kano Arcana?
Oh yeah. So then they're sitting at dinner and Kano like asks for an egg roll from Kung Lao, and Liu Kang and Kung Lao like say something in Mandarin to each other, and then they just start going in on him, and they're like, "Oh, we got this!" Like they obviously knew what they were doing. They were just trying to kind of egg him on to unlock his Arcana, and Kano was just he was throwing out every racial slur. Like it was a pretty not bad.
Right. It was
funny. It was funny, but it was like 2021. I was like, damn, they put that in the movie.
It's like totally Kano's character though. Like that's his whole thing. Is he is this worthless piece of shit.
Right. He's like telling him, he's like, I'm gonna shove that sombrero up your ass. There's some shit like that. Like, oh my god.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then he unlocks his
Arcana.
Yeah, and he's got a laser eye, and Kung Lao like deflects it with his hat before anything breaks, and then Kano kind of forgets about it. He's like, oh hell yeah, I got a laser eye. And then he
says he looks at Liu Kang and he says, "Better than fireballs, you fucking pussy."
Right.
Oh jeez.
These Aussies this week, man. And the boy in blue and in Mortal Kombat. Yeah, but anyway, then then they kind of go back to training, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it goes back to the Outworld, where he's still trying to plot to figure out how to get rid of these people. And I'm blanking on the guy's name, the speedy guy.
Oh,
Cabal.
Yep.
Cabal is like says something like he knows Kano, and he's like, oh, like he's he's not a good guy. Like he'll do whatever for money.
He'll be a great addition to the team,
right? So then he shows up to the temple and is like, yo, you can make a shit ton of money if you join us. And he's like, okay, what do I have to do? The next thing you know, he breaks the barrier for the rest of the team to move in, and yeah. So then Shang Tsung shows up with his posse, and he's like, kill them all. And then so then they all start fighting, and they're getting their asses whipped. Oh, I guess something much more important prior to this. Cole hasn't unlocked his Arcana, so Raiden's like, just leave, like just get out of here, like you're a liability if like you can't unlock your Arcana. Right. So then he opens up like a lightning portal, and Cole like gets sent back home and is with his family. That's an important part prior to the fighting beginning,
right?
Because then when the fighting begins at the temple, also Goro comes and like comes to kill Cole.
Even that wasn't at the temple. That was when he was still with his family.
Right, but at the same time,
right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, in parallel. Yeah. So Goro shows up at the barn or whatever. I don't know where they live. They have a
middle America, fucking middle America.
Yeah, I don't know. To kill Cole, and while everybody else is fighting at the temple, and it was kind of predictable because it was like, oh, obviously the key to Cole's Arcana is his family. Like, you know, once you start touching his family, he'll protect them, and so he's getting the shit beat out. I don't even know how he's alive. Like, Goro was throwing beams at him and poles and like. I don't even know.
That's what I said in the beginning. His special power is getting his ass kicked.
Right. And still staying alive. But yeah, so
well, his wife comes, or his girlfriend comes up and hits Goro with the axe.
Yeah.
And then that
Goro,
then
targets him.
Yeah, her, and then he gets his Arcana moment where he gets his like super armor. Where then, as Kudra was saying, his superpower literally is you beat the shit out of his armor and it charges up his armor.
Right. Something like that. Because he also has the Tonfas, which he has he seems to have like the blunt stick traditional Tonfa. Then he has like a blade. Tonfa.
And I took it as like, because when his armor would get punched, it would like glow red, and then it seemed like he would take that energy and shoot it back at him. Like, so to me, that's what I took. But yeah, because right from there, then he has the power then to beat Goro.
Right. So he kills Goro, and then he teleports back to the temple to try and help everybody else. And then they're still losing. And then Shang Tsung gets a hold of Kung Lao and is sucking the soul out of him. And he's like, yells out to Liu Kang. Is like, Liu Kang! And then Liu Kang's like, holy shit, I gotta go. And then, Kung Lao dies, but then Raiden is able to teleport everybody out that's still left alive to some like
the in-between
world, Yep. But yeah, so everybody's kind of all shooken up from what happened. I guess one thing prior to moving forward, Jax kind of finds some strength, and
when he lifts the rock off Sonya, his arms become super arms.
Right.
Yeah.
So he sees some kind of positive involvement from Jax, where previously he kind of was like felt bad for himself and was like, I'm useless, even with his new mechanical arms. But
I felt like he almost had like little stick T-Rex arms.
Right? That's probably what I thought too.
And Kano's Kano was making fun of him. He was like, do they come in men's sizes or something like that?
And then it's like, I tell you what, it's a good thing his Arcana power was like beefy mechanical arms, because if it was anything else, he'd still be kind of useless.
Yeah. So that's kind of like, I guess, the positive that came out of the interaction. Obviously, Kung Lao died, which is a big hit, but so then they're like trying to regroup and like mourn Kung Lao's death, and Cole
they kind of like hatch their final plan. Like,
right.
Let's
Cole's
take it to him.
Comes up with a plan. He's like, okay, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna do one-on-ones with the people that you just got beat the shit out of, but we're gonna win this time. And then we'll all take on Sub-Zero. And then we'll all attack Sub-Zero at once. And then it kind of, there's really not like a transition. It's like he's almost talking about it, and
and then they just go in, and all of a sudden they're fighting all these people, right? So then you get your fight scenes.
Well, I feel like this is also like where this is where it most resembles the game, right? Because like two fighters warp in on a stage, and then they do the fight.
Yeah. Well, actually, another reference to the game back in the training where Liu Kang's fighting Kano, and he just sweep kicks him repeatedly.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I was like, oh my God, this is like when you play somebody who doesn't know how to play and you just continuously sweep kick them. He just gets back up, sweep kick. I thought that was an amazing implementation of like,
and then he jumped, and then he jumped, and then he fell
too early.
Down, and then he sweep kicked him again.
He jumped too early, right? Oh, that was like the perfect implementation of like referencing the game without, because yeah. Anyways, they went warped into their individual fights. Because the first one was Jax fighting the guy with the hammer, who, as a Mortal Kombat character, I don't know who that is. And it's some guy with a hammer. But
Rico.
Yeah,
Rico?
But I don't remember him from any. I don't remember him from Mortal Kombat games. Then Liu Kang fights Cabal in the same place where Cole is fighting
Melina,
yeah, and then Sonya goes to fight Kano.
Yep.
So they all basically win. Jax beats the hammer guy. He punches back his hammer, breaks his hammer. Uses super punches, explodes his head with the classic Jax fatality. Then you get Sonya, who beats Kano, and she takes his dragon mark and essentially gets her Arcana, which is her like purple thing she kind of shoots. She like throws hearts, I believe, in the game. But then she comes back and actually saves Cole by killing Melina with her Melina with her purple beams, and then Liu Kang kills Cabal by lighting him on fire in a pit of oil with his dragon fire kind of animality thing. Right. So then after they beat all them, at this point they get to the Sub-Zero fight.
Yeah, Sub-Zero appears and is shown that he's abducted Cole's family, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So then Cole's fighting, and then he's like he's getting the shit beat at him again, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And then he has the kunai that Raiden gave him, and his blood gets on it, which essentially summons Scorpion or Hanzo.
Mm-hmm.
So then it's Scorpion and Cole versus Sub-Zero. And yeah, so it's a pretty cool fight scene. They're in the MMA cage for a little bit, which is kind of cool.
Right.
Setting. But yeah, so then they end up beating Sub-Zero with, I think it's called the Hellfire move from Scorpion.
Yeah, I don't know what it's called, but yeah, where he lights lights him on fire. He
takes off his mask, breathes fire on him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then he thanks Cole for freeing him from his, I don't know, wherever he was trapped from hell.
Right.
Yep.
And tells him to like look after the bloodline for me or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then Scorpion kind of leaves, which I thought was kind of weird that they didn't like talk more, but it's Mortal Kombat. It's Mortal Kombat, right? But yeah, then everybody comes and Shang Tsung arrives, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna have my revenge," and blah blah blah.
And then Raiden fucking sends him back to the Shadow Realm.
Right.
Yep. Oh, but don't forget they ominously foreshadow everyone else's return because they're just Shang Tsung.
Right.
Like, death is only another portal.
Yeah. Which I mean, you got that. What else can you do? You're like, okay, we need Goro and Sub-Zero back for the next movie,
right?
So.
Well, then at the end, the one other thing is they talk the guy who used to sign up Cole for fights comes to talk to him, and Cole's like, no, yeah, he's like, I'm done. And then he says, I'm going to Hollywood. And then you're like, oh shit, he's going to get Johnny Cage. So apparently,
the poster,
apparently the second movie is going to start with Cole going to find Johnny Cage.
Mm-hmm.
which is great. So yeah, that's Mortal Kombat then. I had a lot of fun with this movie. Um, I thought all the fight scenes were actually really cool. I liked most of the character design and costume design. Definitely some cheesy stuff, but I don't know. I mean, that's the campiness of Mortal Kombat, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It's a video game movie,
Right? It is. Yeah. What did you guys?
I thought it was good. I like you said, I like the fight scenes, and I think um, special effects and CGI have come a long way since the late '90s.
I love Sub-Zero's ice. I thought his
Yeah, the
ice
ice
was
is
really
cool.
cool. I thought the Jack scene was the way that he made his arms like bleed while they're freezing.
Right.
Oh, gross.
He's like ripping his like flesh off.
Yeah, when he takes the blood blade when he's fighting Scorpion, when he freezes the blood, that was kind of cool.
Yeah, even the where he freezes the barrel of the gun and like the bullets like shatter.
Yeah,
it's kind of cool.
Yeah, Sub-Zero was a cool villain. He was a big fuck everybody guy.
Mm-hmm. I like the beginning a lot too, where you kind of got a taste of like how Scorpion fights with the kunai and stuff like that. And
I thought it was a very like tame intro, kind of to like really set it up in a more grounded like fight scene where that like kind of, and I liked the subtle like look of his, like he's like obviously Scorpion, but it wasn't too extreme, I felt like. And then like the Sub-Zero stuff was like kind of like a more tame blue outfit.
yeah.
And like I enjoyed the cheese of it, and like it I was along for the ride, I guess, of the whole thing. Definitely some inconsistencies with like things that happen, like just the fact that Shang Tsung can fucking teleport anywhere at any time. Sub-Zero's like, just, oh, you're driving your car away, I'm already here. Why can Sub-Zero do that? But I just think it really, I thought it did a great job of just being a Mortal Kombat movie. Yeah, Kudro, what do you got to say over there?
I don't know. I find myself going back and forth with this because there are a few things that I would probably ask when I'm talking about the direction of this movie.
Okay, let's go over it.
I mean, first of all, is just Cole's inclusion. Now, I understand what they're going for.
Yeah.
I mean, he's kind of supposed to be the audience surrogate, like, new to the whole scene. Cole's figuring out what's going on as the audience is figuring out what's going on.
Yeah.
I understand that. But I don't really see if that was completely necessary to introduce a whole new character when we're kind of here to watch Mortal Kombat for the actual Mortal Kombat characters.
Yeah.
So, and what makes it, I feel like, almost even more egregious is when you're talking like, so the whole scene in Sonya and Jax's place of residence is literally Sonya talking about a lengthy investigation that she did to figure out exactly what was going on. Yeah. So, like, my immediate thought just has to flip over to, okay, instead of that means like Cole didn't even really need to exist because you just literally explained what probably would have been the plot of a better movie right there.
Right.
So
I agree with you. He may not be necessary, but they put him in there, and I don't think he's that bad. You know what I mean? Like, I agree with you. Maybe he wasn't necessary, but I don't feel like he's okay.
No, I feel like Cole, like, he's inoffensive. Like, I don't hate him.
Right.
But it's just the whole thing is like, I feel like if we were talking about like, as an, like, basically my point is that Sonya and Jax could have just as easily played the audience surrogate role, have their established character, and we see their investigation as they're piecing together what's going on.
Yeah, you could have just brought Johnny Cage in this one and had him in there too, in that part as well. Like, I agree.
Yeah.
also that scene with Sonya, like it's kind of like bashing you over the head with the like
yeah, it's a huge lengthy exposition,
yeah,
whereas if you followed them as they were doing the
yeah, and
investigation,
like
I feel like the movie might have been better paced and you wouldn't have
yeah,
had these massive
sure,
exposition dumps.
yeah, and I would say as a general rule, I hate it when movies do that. But I was just kind of along for this dumb fucking Mortal Kombat ride. Maybe because I already knew the story, it was less effective to me. You know, because a lot of times, like I'll watch a superhero movie and it does that. I'm like, this is dumb as fuck. But so that's a very fair criticism.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, do you think that maybe they talked to the? Well, I assume they were correlating with the game developers as well, and he's not in any of the games currently, correct?
Yeah, Cole is
No,
Cole's an exclusive character to the movie.
I do wonder if it's like a thing where like he'll go in the next one, you know?
That's what I was like thinking is maybe like they kind of saw it as like a a bonus where it's like, oh, we don't need to.
Yeah, I don't hate Cole so much, but the thing I actually hate about Kudrow Described is the way that they do all the exposition there with Sonya's place. I think I don't like that.
Right.
But yeah, I think maybe I'm less affected because I already know the Mortal Kombat story so much that it didn't really like phase me as like a scene to take a bunch of stuff in. I liked all the fight scenes though. Like I thought the fight scenes were pretty good for the most part. I especially like the Sub-Zero and Scorpion fight scenes. The part where Kung Lao kills Natara. Oh, we didn't say anything about Natara. Natara just flies in like a bird of prey and dies instantly.
Just because she's kind of there and she's gone almost immediately.
Yeah, I think because they're like, well, we got to say flawless victory somewhere, and they wanted it to be an actual flawless victory, so they had to kill Natara. And I thought when Kung Lao said flawless victory, it was kind of like, I didn't buy it so much, but
yeah. I mean, they kind of tried to build her up as like some like special like opponent, though. I mean, she appeared in like 2 or 3 scenes prior to her dying, right?
No, they did.
I like, build her up, but
yeah, that's fine. I guess I just thought like the delivery of the line felt kind of like forced.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
She still wasn't, and Natara still wasn't done as dirty as like Shiva and Annihilation. So
that's true. Or Johnny Cage.
Or Johnny Cage. But I feel like my only criticism with the fight scenes, and maybe this is just something where it's like after watching the 3 John Wick films that I just keep paying attention to, is the quick cuts. I don't know if I'm the only one who like really started paying attention to it, but so it's like every like couple seconds you notice like the shift, the camera shift or something.
So they can cut scenes.
Yeah, so it's like they can like do like a couple combat moves, cut, and then do a couple more and then cut. But then it's like I go back and like, I watch John Wick, and then you have like these minutes long continuous cuts of combat.
Right.
And it's just like after watching that, I have yet to see like an action movie that really compares. And
that's
unfortunately, this one's also the same. It's like all these quick cuts. I mean, like it doesn't really break my engagement with the movie, but it's definitely something that I notice and I wish more studios and action films would do.
Yeah, I think it's a hard thing to do, and also with a movie like this, like with all the CGI they're trying to implement with like the special abilities and stuff, and it's John Wick's trying to get I don't know if I want to call it realism in fighting, but like a more grounded fighting kind, like a.
I'd give you the grounded, except for the fact that we also have like the point where John Wick is gunning down like 100 people at a time,
as opposed to fire demons and guys who summon ice, though.
Completely.
But he uses pencils, so
I don't know if it's just my like Mortal Kombat nostalgia, like watching Scorpion and Sub-Zero fight. That's like, oh, sick, Scorpion and Sub-Zero. Like I don't know if that's why, but I kind of I liked it. Like I liked the fight scenes. I don't know.
I thought it was good.
I was in for all the characters. And I agree with you. There's some plot holes. There's some bad exposition shit that normally I'm like, well, Gotta downgrade it for this. But I'm to the point where I'm thinking about we haven't watched all the video game movies, obviously, but out of all the video game movies I've seen to date, this is the best one. And not that that's a high bar, but
wow. No, I mean, I agree with you. This probably is the best video game film. I guess my thing is like, if I still feel like there's a lot to criticize here, even if this was a lot of fun and probably the best one to date. But I'm with flaws that I'm kind of hoping get worked on and fixed with the sequel that's coming.
Yeah,
to this movie.
I hope it turns out well.
I do too.
Cujo, so you're saying this one is better than Final Fantasy?
Oh, I still need to rewatch The Spirits Within. I keep meaning to do
I think
it.
I think the month's up. I think the month's up. I think you failed that.
Now that you've reminded me, I'm about to watch it before the next show. So,
oh man.
The one thing I will say about the combat before we move on is the only cringy part to me was when Cole throws the knife to Sonya. I was like,
oh yeah, where she's spinning in the air.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck? But yeah, other than that, I thought the combat was good.
Some one-liners. Jax, when he's fighting Scorpion or fighting Sub-Zero, he says, "I've done 6 tours, motherfucker," before he fights him. When Cole's looking at, we already talked about the spelled it wrong. Scorpion, when he comes up out of hell to fight Sub-Zero, he says, I have risen from hell to kill you.
He also says, "Get over here." He says,
"Oh yeah," when he grabs him. Yeah. I felt like that was a well implemented "get over here."
Yeah,
more so than the last movies.
I'd agree with that.
But yeah, do we want to rank it?
Let's do it.
Kudra, do you want to go first?
Sure. I mean, as I feel like this is probably the best one so far. I say B probably. I think this is a solid B.
Yeah,
it still has its flaws. I still think the plot could have really been reworked, but for what it is, it's entertaining enough.
All right. Well,
I guess I'll go. I think I have to agree. I'm between a B and B plus, but I didn't really think about what Kudra was talking about, and now that he pointed out, I'm kind of like, oh, you got a point there.
Yeah.
So I think I gotta go B.
Yeah, well. I also think Kudra has some good points about some of the stuff in this movie, and I think those are true. And I think like a reasonable rating on this is a B or a B plus. However, due to my nostalgia for Mortal Kombat, and also the fact that out of every video game movie I've ever seen, this is the best one, I think it deserves an A. Now, in the future, in 5 years in the future, 5 years in the future, when 10 more video game movies have come out and say there's some good ones, then maybe this will drop back down to a B plus. But until somebody shows me, until somebody shows me something better, I think I gotta give this thing as top of the field in video game movies. And I like Mortal Kombat. I love the Scorpion Sub-Zero fights. I gotta give it an A, just barely. I think a reasonable rating is a B or a B plus. I think it's I think it's a slightly I just want to tinge it up to an A.
You're trying to pad the stats. You're trying to pad the stats of Mortal Kombat here.
No,
I guess.
Well, I don't actually wouldn't even pad the stats because it's still average out a little lower. But I just think because I've seen so many bad video game movies over the years, I think like seeing this as a video game movie, I'm like, okay, I like this. I like everything it's doing. I'm happy it's going in this direction. I think it's an A for me.
That's fair.
Yeah. So we can go into our overall ratings now. Get our list up here. All right. So I think we can safely say, as we've already said, it's better than the movies we have watched previously here. So, and you guys are thinking B or B plus, and like I already said, I think I agree with you guys. A reasonable rating for this movie is in the BB plus tier. Now, as a video game movie, though, I would argue it should go in the A tier because of the general quality of video game movies.
I feel like an A compared to other video game movies versus just being an A, like I feel like that's kind of an injustice.
So you think it should be a B, Kudrow, in the B tier?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think you're right then. Maybe we should show video game movies for what they are and have no movies above the B tier for video game movies.
Okay, hold on. I feel like there has to be one. There will eventually be a video game in the A tier. I don't think we'll ever find one in the S, but I think we'll at least have one in the A.
All right, so
we gotta wait for the new Mario movie to come out.
I guess I can agree with you. Mortal Kombat will be in the B tier. Currently, our highest rated video game movie. All right, Mortal Kombat in the B tier.
All right. And what's next week? Next week we're watching
the first Lara Croft Tomb Raider film with Angelina Jolie.
All right.
Oh shit, we're going through the Tomb Raiders.
Yep, going to Tomb Raider, and that can be found on HBO Max, I believe, correct?
Yep. At least the first two. So Tomb Raider and Tomb Raider: The Cradle of Life.
Awesome.
I don't know about the latest one though.
Yeah, so if you want to watch that with us, that's what we'll be watching this week for ranking of video games.
All right. Let's bring Josh in here. Josh, are you there?
It's a nice looking boat you got there.
I think he made it himself.
It'd be more impressive if it was inside of a bottle.
Is there something about what is it with the ship models and being in bottles?
Well,
I feel like those are the only types of models I see in bottles.
In the 50s and 60s, they didn't have the internet or a lot of fun stuff to do, so they're like, what if we built these ships inside of bottles?
I mean, everyone's got to have a hobby, I guess.
Sorry, that was mean. Building ships in bottles seems like a
I'm
crazy
sure it's really hard.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. I just wonder, why do they do ships in bottles, but they don't do any other forms of models in bottles?
Oh my god, what if you started building Gundams inside bottles?
I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
Well, how would you do that? You need a jug to do that, wouldn't you?
Oh, I don't know how. I don't know how
lying down.
I don't know how they do the boats, so.
Well, the boats are they're long, right? So it fits inside like a wine bottle or a whiskey bottle, right? But if you were to do something that you said Gundams, right?
Yeah.
Those are the robots,
the mech
right?
suits, yeah.
Yeah, the mech suits. Those stand up. So how would you do that inside a long skinny object? You'd have to do it inside
I can't help. I can't help you with the logistics here. I got no idea. You're good. Do we have any other segments this week? Oh yeah, hey Josh,
you're muted.
Oh, it kept saying the host muted my mic. So.
Oh well, maybe when you come in, it automatically mutes you if you come into a live show.
Yeah. Well, they build ships in bottles. They build ships in bottles because ship models compared to Gundams, for example, are really fragile.
Okay.
Number one, if you put a ship inside a bottle, it's an impossible thing to do because the ship, you're like, how did it get in there?
Oh, it is impossible. Okay, well.
So it can't sail away.
It is possible to do it, but you have to build it in a certain way that the ship I have is. And by the way, I apologize. I don't have my camera on. I'm under the weather today. It's going to be kind of a long show, maybe somewhat painful show as I tell you guys about my health issues. And I'm currently having a gout flare-up. So I can't walk, and I have to lay down, and I have my foot elevated. So it's
dude.
One of these situations where I have this condition in which my body processes uric acid less efficiently. And then as a result, uric acid crystals gather in my joints, and because of fucking gravity, it all goes to my ankle, and they all just sit there, so I can't put any pressure on my ankles. So I am
gravity, bro.
What?
Damn it.
I look like shit, and I'm laying down, so I thought I will put a small ship up instead of my ugly mug.
Nice. All right. Well, I hope you feel better soon, at least.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. I'll be fine. I honestly drank too much alcohol over the last month. That's why I'm having this.
Shoot.
But yeah,
Feels
no,
like an extended hangover.
Did we have
I
any?
haven't
Did anybody?
No,
What?
go for it.
Oh no! Do we have any other segments this week? Kudro, Quinn, did you guys have anything else? Or are we good?
Yeah, I had to take a
Really?
break this week from Steam reviews because I didn't have time to get one together.
No,
so
you're good. I just wanted to make sure I didn't want to skip over it if we had anything.
no, we're good. We're going straight to the boy in blue.
Yeah, I think so. Let me get my
All right,
stuff set up
let me
here.
just answer the question. The reason that you put model ships in bottles is not just because it's impossible, but also because it's just basically like a portable carrying case for the model, which you kind of need. If you build a model ship, it's kind of just there. It's like you can't really transport it anywhere.
I got you.
And speaking of model ships, I love this movie, The Boy in Blue, because of the steamboat. Steamboat was my favorite part of the movie.
Oh yeah.
There's lots of them.
Yeah.
All right.
So you gonna recap it for us, Colton?
I'm going to. Yeah, I got to get the graphics set up here. All right, got those set up. Oh, da, 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 da. Yeah, Quinn, feel free to add anything here. We'll go through this movie in 3 acts. All right. This is Ranking of Cage, Part 7, The Boy in Blue. I'm Colton, joined by Kudro, Quinn,
Hey guys.
and Josh.
Glad to be here.
So, The Boy in Blue. It's based on a true story about a famous rower. So the movie opens with the rower Ned, played by Nicolas Cage, winning a rowing competition. Then that night after he wins the rowing competition, we see Ned is smuggling alcohol across the border from the U.S. to Canada in a rowboat. And the cops trying to let on him, and the cops are onto him, and the cops are chasing him. He escapes and then gets back to his house. Then the next morning, the cops show up at his door to arrest him. Now, to escape, his house is right along the shoreline, so he jumps into this body of water next to his house to escape. And then on the boat outside is who we find out his name is Bill. And Bill's sitting there like, oh, hey, come with me. So Ned jumps on the boat, and we find out Bill had observed Ned rowing before and saw his talent. And then we're led to believe Bill actually is the one who led the cops to where Ned was to kind of flush him out and bring him in on the con. So basically, Bill's trying to convince Ned to go to the United States with him to essentially win rowing competitions so he can bet on them. So eventually they go to the U.S. to Philadelphia, and Bill's going to get this boat, and you see the deals falling through. Like, Bill's mad because he doesn't have the boat. And then luckily a child on the street's like, I know where you can get a boat. So they follow this child on the street who leads them to a magical boat that looks really nice. It's like a scene where you see this nice boat, and then you look, and the boat has like a sliding mechanism. And then you meet the maker of the boat, and this is like a revolutionary design idea for the time of a sliding seat, whereas rowers before were like literally sliding on the wood instead of having a sliding seat. So they're going to use this sliding boat in the race, and everybody kind of makes fun of the sliding boat, and they're like, what is this weird contraption, you loser? But actually Ned ends up winning the qualifying race, and then Ned ends up winning the whole race there. And then he goes back to Canada, and he comes back.
One correction.
to Canada.
I think he finish second in that qualifying race.
Yeah.
Oh, he qualifies though, right? And then he wins he wins the main event. He wins the main event. And then after that, he goes back to Canada a hero. Go ahead, Quinn. That was Act 1. Quinn, you're muted.
Oh, sorry. One thing I want to point out of like the times, I guess, is like there's all these people that, because of the way it is, it's a big betting sport, it appears to be, sort of like horse racing. So like there's all these interested parties within the sport. And so before the final race, they're at the bar and some guys try to give him a drink that like would make him sick or, you know, knock him out or something like that.
Yeah, some kind of poison.
Right. And they give it to a reporter who ends up drinking it, and, you know, who knows what happens to him. And then they're like trying to run away from these guys. And then the manager, Bill, says he's Ned. And then this thug like breaks his arm. So like there's all these like shady forces that are always working behind the scenes to make the race turn out a certain way. And that's a really big like part of the movie, I would say, is like there's not only like the race, but then there's also like the rowing mob, let's call them, that's like trying to influence the outcome of the race.
Like the lackeys for the other competitors are running around trying to fuck everybody else up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just want to point that out.
Oh, great point. So that's the end of Act 1. So then we go into Act 2. When he gets back to Canada, Knox, a rich guy in like the area who has a lot of influence, tries to steal Ned away from Bill and become Ned's manager. And also Ned sees Knox's niece and he has the hots for Knox's niece. And this is Margaret. So Ned eventually goes on a boat date with Margaret with a chaperone, where they seem to get along kind of, but it's a, you know, slightly awkward, like young love in a way is what it's kind of portrayed as. Next, Ned is at a party that's at Knox's estate where he sees Andrew, a Harvard man, hitting on or flirting with Margaret. So Ned gets frustrated, and then Ned tries to fight him because he has decided he's in love with Margaret. After this, Margaret tells him off, and then he's really sad, so he goes and just gets trashed. And he has a race the next day. So the next day at the race, he's very sick and hungover. And then like near the end of the race, he just kind of gives up. And then you see all the other racers like kind of looking at him. And then when they realize that they're going to win, they like fail out of the race like horribly in like unbelievable ways. They're not convincing at all. So basically what you find out is the race was a setup. Like Ned was going to win. All the other races were going to lose no matter what. So after this, this kind of, he was supposed to win the race, and basically he like just gave up and refused to. So Knox basically has sway over the police, and so Ned gets put in jail for his previous crimes of like smuggling, whereas Knox was kind of not letting him get arrested before, and Knox wanted him to sign that contract still. So when he's in jail, Bill comes to talk to him and says, hey, you need to sign this contract. You don't have a choice. Knox isn't going to let you get away with not doing it. So then Ned agrees he's going to go sign the contract. And we see that Margaret, who this is kind of like a foreshadowing that she may like Ned a little bit. She comes in to say, oh, Ned, maybe you should have somebody look over that contract. Because Ned's kind of like, it seems like he's portrayed as like lower class and less educated, maybe. So she kind of implies he should have somebody look over the contract. And I think this is kind of implying to us that she has a concern about him.
Well, I still wonder, though, is that really like her liking him, warming up to him?
Or disdain for her uncle?
Well, not even that, but like, you know, I'm jumping ahead a little bit, I admit, when I say this, but like, you know, she specifically says like, you know, my uncle told me to be sweet with you or whatever.
Sure,
and
but
so, like, I feel like
uncle, that's fair, but her uncle absolutely did not want her to do that. So it's almost like either she's rebelling against her uncle or she actually has an interest in Ned not getting screwed over.
To me, it's very confusing because of the way the scenes play out, where like she's like totally against him, like she like kicks him out and it's like, I never want to talk to you ever again. And then all of a sudden she's like, oh, don't sign this contract, hint hint, like you should have someone look at it. And I'm like,
yeah, what? this could be a flaw in the portrayal of women, of the Yeah, I think that might be their idea. I think that they might be like, oh, they might be trying to tell you women are overreacting. Is kind of what they're um, suggesting.
Yeah, I think that you could probably say that all these Nicolas Cage movies we've watched, they probably all have the characteristic of having a flawed view about women.
Yeah. So anyways, Ned eventually signs his contract with Knox, and following this, we see Ned in training and he's got these weird training apparatuses. He trains in the barn with the horses, and every time he sees Margaret, you can see him kind of daydreaming about Margaret and being jealous of anything she's doing with Andrew. Eventually, you see that Ned gifts a dog to Margaret. You can tell the dog's from Ned because it's got a blue ribbon on it. Everything with Ned is associated with blue in this movie, the boy in blue. So anytime you see blue, you know that's Ned.
You get the title drop with that reporter, the boy in blue.
After that, we find out that Margaret is engaged to Andrew to be married. Andrew is our Harvard man from earlier. Next, we see Ned in the race for the North American Championship, which it just kind of abruptly comes to. I didn't even realize at first that's what race we were in. And then he sees Bill at this race and learns that Bill is actually engaged to his old girlfriend. But anyways, we get to the race. During the race, Ned gets angry about basically everything and the other rower, and then he just crashes into the other competitor. And for this, he knocks the other competitor out. The race is like, I don't know what they call it at that point, but you can't do that in rowing. So the United States Rowing Council bans him for life from rowing competitions in the United States for this. So that's kind of the end of Act 2 there, the downfall.
That ahead, seemed Quinn. Very like outrageous to me that one time you ram into someone that you're just banned for life. That just seemed outrageous to me.
Also, there's only 2 rowers in every race.
But back to the race.
Yeah.
Ned, he's got like an ego to him. So like when it comes, I mean, obviously depends how he's feeling. He was feeling down because Margaret rejected him, and then Bill and Dulcie, I think her name is, show up, and I'm pretty sure the Colonel, who I only knew him by the Colonel. I didn't realize.
Was that Knox? Yeah, the rich guy.
I think had asked Bill and Dulcie to show up to kind of raise his spirits so he would race better. And then he also had paid Bill to mess with the other competitor's boat. And so we saw
that was the next one, right? Bill messed with the competitor's boat at the next championship.
That was both of them. I thought Trig.
No, you're right. Yeah, you're right. There was a sabotage. Yes, right, right. This race, the North American Championship,
the one in Boston. Yeah.
So Bill had sabotaged the boat.
He sabotaged it, and then somehow, like, he's about to fight the Australian dude after they come out of the bar, and then Bill shows up, and then Ned gets pissed off because he finds out that Bill sabotaged the boat, and he's like. Why would you do this? And Bill's like, well, like it's just how it is. And I think that goes back to kind of the theme of the boat mob or the rowing mob of like they do what they have to do to win money. And Bill just understands that reality. And so he just tries to profit off of it. Like he doesn't really have any moral.
Yeah, Bill's the guy out there trying to make money. He's like, I gotta make money and live a life.
Right, and Ned's like, I want to win fair and square. And so then the next morning before the race, he like makes it known that the screw was loose that Bill had unloosened, which it didn't really matter because Ned ends up ramming him anyway. So it was like, well,
right, yeah,
But yeah, and I'm pretty sure that's because the Australian dude was his name Truget or
I don't know what his name was, but he's got a sleek uniform though. With
he was just chirping him the whole time, and it just pissed Ned off. So Ned's like, I'm just gonna ram you.
That's the sleekest late 1800s uniform I've ever seen.
Right. So yeah, just another instance of the rowing mob interfering with the race to get what they want. But yeah.
So that's kind of the downfall then, Act 2. Then Act 3, Ned comes back to Canada. He's now like back in his old clothes. He's not wearing the fancy clothes anymore to his hometown. And they have a gathering outside for him when he arrives. And they're kind of like, "You're still our champion, Ned." The people in his town are still behind him, is what we're led to believe. Following this, he goes to see the guy who made that sliding boat for him. And he says, "Hey, I want to go to England and compete in the world championships. Can you help me?" The guy agrees to it. Next, we get a nice long rowing training montage. Then after the training, they go back to Knox to talk about getting help going into the world championships. The guy actually bets his patent with the other guy in a side bet that Ned will win the race. Then we hear that Margaret's wedding is coming up. And when Ned sees at Knox's estate, when they're there, he sees Margaret getting into a carriage and going away in like classic Nicolas Cage freak out fashion, chases down the carriage, jumps on the side of it, and pleads with Margaret to not marry Andrew. He has a word, I can't remember what he calls him, but he's like, "I love you." He's just some 1800s term that I don't remember. And then he falls off the carriage, and then Margaret stops to see if he's okay, and then, basically just leaves him. He goes back to his house, but then that night, Margaret sneaks into his house to warn him that something is afoot with whatever's going on with the world championships. Something's not right there. She heard her uncle talking about it. So then after that, they have sex, and then they're like, it's like, okay, well, the next day, then they go to get married. But before that, in the morning, Knox shows up at Nicolas Cage's house and wants to pay him $10,000 to throw the race. Ned says no. Well, but then he's nervous because she's there, and he's like, okay, fine, I'll do it, whatever. Then after they go get married. Then they send the $10,000 back and reject that he's going to lose the race because he's all about winning the right way and such. He's not just going to throw a race.
And his Margaret is like essentially has blackmail on the colonel.
Right.
I was like,
yeah.
Oh, I knew what you're doing. It was like, let me marry this guy, essentially.
Right. So now Ned and Margaret are married, and they're going to this race at the World Championships. So they go to the race at the World Championships. And when they walk into the boat room, Bill's in there, and like, obviously he fucking sabotaged the boat. That's just what you do with these things, I guess. Anyways, he goes into the race, and they're rowing, and he's kicking the shit out of. Oh, it's the same in the World Championship race. It's the same guy from earlier, his rival from the North American Championships that he ran into. But sure enough, as he's winning the race, he looks at his oar on one side, and the bolt's coming loose. And he tries to screw it back on, and then he goes further. He's winning again. And then he notices it's coming off again, and it comes off. And then he goes to try and kind of put it back together, and he's like trying so hard that he's ripping up his hand. And then Bill sees this, has a change of heart, jumps in the water with the wrench tool necessary to fix it, swims over to Ned, fixes the thing for his oar to work properly. And after all this time, Ned still goes out then after this and wins the race in like last second fashion, beats the guy, and Ned is the winner. And then the night after the race, Knox's men are beating the shit out of Bill, probably for fucking up and fixing the boat. And then Ned comes to help him. They're both standing next to each other, and they're about to fight the guys. And in their fighting stance, it pauses. That's the end of the movie. And then it goes on to say that, does anybody have the stats of Ned after this race? Because it's based on a true story. It tells you the stats of Ned's achievements after this race.
I mean, basically, what was it? He won like 5 world champions straight, and he only lost like 6 out of 300 races.
Right. He went on to dominate, but
yeah.
So that's The Boy in Blue. Surprisingly, punches way above its weight class, I feel. But yeah, what did you guys think?
I didn't think Nicolas Cage fit the role.
I think this might be the worst Nicolas Cage acting that we've seen in the 80s.
It didn't feel like a Nicolas Cage movie to me.
No, it's the wrong
Nicolas
time
Cage
period.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, there were definitely some Nicolas Cage moments. I mean, overacting anger out of jealousy over a woman. I mean, that's vintage Cage at this point.
No, I think you got Nicolas Cage, but being in the 1880s, like the time it was set and like the language that was being used and like the overall like I don't know setting and like environment,
he just felt kind of out of place.
Yeah, it did not fit Nicolas Cage. Like his acting style and like the way he carries himself did not fit like what you think would be in that time.
Right. It's hard to believe that there's somebody in the 1880s acting like that in a way.
Right.
But
like what?
So I feel like, I guess kind of on a note similar, is Nicolas Cage's character in all the 80s movies we've watched so far has very much been an angsty teenager full of passion and rage. Just like this is like his character that we see in all these movies. And he's kind of like, he doesn't give a fuck about anything. He's just like that seems to be this character.
That's kind of his archetype.
Well, in the 80s specifically, like that's what I'm seeing. Some of his later stuff, I mean, we'll get to it, but like in the 80s, I feel like the movies we've seen Nicolas Cage in, he kind of has been playing a very similar character in a lot of these movies. Like this very angry, passionate.
I don't know. It's like I almost wonder, like, I almost feel like this isn't that different, but maybe that's just because, like, if I'm thinking about his whole arc with what's her face, it's
what's
like,
her face? Yep,
he's like Margaret. Yeah, it's like, you know, sleeping with one girl, then he like sees Margaret, and he's like, oh my god, I love this woman, and then he's doggedly chasing after her the entire movie. And when she turns him down, like before the one race, he's sitting here drinking himself into stupid.
That's kind of his other
one of the
characters,
most important things in his life, and then he's like spending this entire time doggedly chasing after her and getting upset that he can't win her heart. It's like, dude, this is so cliche Cage. I don't even. I don't have a comparison. It's just
I think the more out of place thing is the character he's playing in the 1880s. Like, I think that's what the thing is. It's like, it's really weird that he seems out of place as that character in that time period.
The character itself just seemed dull to me. Like there was nothing going on with that guy. It's like he wanted to be the best at rowing, to just be the best at exercising, I guess.
It's kind of like a Goku if you think about it.
How
what?
He wants to, because he fixes the guy's boat. He's like, I want to fight you for real at your maximum. He's got like
he's fighting against the guy's name was Tricket.
Wait, that was the name, Tricket? We couldn't think of it earlier.
Yeah, I watched it with the subtitles. It's Tricket. It just teaches. Don't trust anybody who has the name Trick in their name. But also, I love that moment when Tricket like comes out of the barn and he looks fully like completely out of sync. He's wearing like an orange and black jumpsuit.
His uniform, dude. Tricket's uniform was sick. That was the sickest 1880s uniform ever to exist.
It was a 1980s uniform. It belonged in a TiVo video. Okay? It did not happen in the 80s.
I was so very much questioning his uniform. I'm like, this seems a little crazy for the time period, but also I'm like, sick.
Yeah. Orange and black, classic combo.
I just think when you compare him to like the other like characters within his like population class, every time he talked, like it just didn't. I don't know what it was. It just didn't fit. It was like, even when he was like talking to Dulcie, it was like, I don't know. It didn't seem like they're on, even levels. Like, I don't know. It was like, it just doesn't seem like Nicolas Cage was the actor that they needed for the role.
It's almost like he was playing a character of Nicolas Cage 100 years later. Like he was
Right.
just playing a guy who lived in the 1980s but was in the 1880s.
Right.
I feel like the thing that was most out of place for me is just like, Nicolas Cage being an American actor, and he's not even trying to sound Canadian.
Right, but they were British Canadian, right? They weren't French Canadian. Because that was before the French took over, right? Or is that still French? I don't know.
You'd have to tell me.
Because they had British because they had British flags when they came back.
Yeah.
From Boston.
They're British Canadian.
I thought the British flags were
when they came back. That was because the World Championship
were in England.
Was in Britain.
Yeah.
No. When they came back from Boston, they were
they're British flags there. Oh.
Yeah.
I guess I can't argue with you about 1800s accents, so I'll.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know anything about like what Canadian English accents were like at that time, but I'd be willing to bet that it was not like.
Yeah, this. I mean, it was just Nicolas Cage sounding like Nicolas Cage, so it's like I don't know. Yeah, I kind of agree with you. It's like maybe I don't fully know the accent, but I know it doesn't sound like this.
If I look past, once I'm not thinking about the time period stuff, the Nicolas Cage being in this time period, the accents, I kind of feel like the rest of the movie was actually all right. Like I was fine watching this movie, to be honest with you.
Well, it's a movie in which things actually do connect, which is rare to get these days. There's like a million things happening on the screen now, but like it does tell a story that has twists and turns. Mm-hmm. And it follows up with some of the things it sets up in the beginning, but I still think it was pretty boring and long.
Yeah, for me. I think the concept of the whole thing is kind of boring. Like just the whole. There's not a lot. I feel like it is better than the storyline.
Yeah,
but
I thought it was good in theory. I think I did get a little boring. Mm-hmm. Or I did get a little bored, I should say. But I think it was a good concept, like, a true story, like showing the story. I think that was, a good idea. I think Nicolas Cage wasn't the correct choice for the lead. Mm-hmm. And I do think some of the music was weird.
The music,
they threw 1860s music into 1880s movie.
Yeah, the music was.
There's like some techno move. It's like
that was my favorite. My favorite music in the movie was the music in the last race where they have like this like piano kind of theme thing going on, but then in the last race it becomes like a techno version of that, like an electronic-y version of it, and I actually was like, okay, this is sick. I was totally in on that last race where they're like, oh, what if we made this electronic? Like I'm like sick.
Oh my god, it was so weird that it went to techno, and then when they were like neck and neck at the end, I felt like I was watching like Air Bud. I thought I was watching Air Bud. It sounded like fucking Air Bud.
Yeah,
like he was like shooting the last shot and like
right
name or something like that.
I would agree. The music really can drag this movie down. I would agree it's bad, except for to me that electronic-y stuff was actually the best music in the movie.
Yeah, we made Air Bud look like airplane.
Right.
I don't even know what that is. It was a. Oh, also there are a lot of little moments which are weird that are like partly I thought like there was a lot of corny moments too, but like and I get it, like I don't know, I couldn't help but laugh when in the beginning he's having sex with Dulcie. I don't know what they're doing.
Terrible, like, oh my god, it's the worst acted sex scene that I have ever seen.
It's like I get they're trying to like be modest and not show anything.
And then it like the way it like drags on too. It's like, okay, you guys got to stop doing this.
Yeah, I didn't believe they were having sex. I fully thought that she was just like, I don't even know what she was
doing. Her legs were flopping around behind her. It's like, yeah, it was awkward.
Yeah,
it was like
I like when the police was like, should we let them finish?
Right.
That and then that was a funny, stupid, like a real cornball moment when it's like, okay, well, and then what else? They got a dog at one point.
Yeah, he gets they got a Tricket at one point when he's talking to him, says, "I'll be pissing down your back," and I didn't know what the hell that meant, but
that was weird.
Well, they said that a couple of times actually. They said that in his first race.
Yeah.
About him.
Uh-huh.
One thing I think they ripped off Rocky with
What year did
his
Rocky come out?
rowing. 70 something, I think.
What?
Right?
Rocky came out in the 70s?
I don't think
Pretty
I
sure.
do think it was in the 19. I don't think it was 1970.
Rocky is
was it?
a 1976 American drama film.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
I thought Rocky was
Rocky
like
came-
80s.
That's what I thought.
But when like the rowing scene where he's like training for the world championships, like that was just Rocky to me. Like
Yeah.
they just totally took Rocky.
Did you like I was kind of like, it's a fucking rowing montage of rowing training, and he's wearing his Hanley shirt. I didn't know what the H was at first until I saw his last name. He has an H on his shirt later in the movie because it's his Hanley rowing sweater. And I was kind of like, all right, you're going for the rowing montage. I could appreciate doing a little rowing montage. It didn't go on too long like that last movie we watched. Yeah, maybe a little too long, but
I don't know.
Every 80s movie needs a montage.
I mean, training
it's the
montages are a
80s.
trope of themselves. So.
That's true.
Colton, every 90s movies you have to say it's the 90s,
Yeah.
and these movie needs the montage.
Yeah.
But
I like the religious dude who was just like when he like got caught at the smuggling, he was like came out of nowhere. He's like, I don't even know what he said. It was hilarious. I started cracking up. I was like, what is this?
He was only in that part too, right? He just never showed up again.
No, he was when they came in the morning, the following day. He was there too.
Yeah.
Right, but after that first part, that was just.
I started dying laughing when that happened. And then when Nicolas Cage when Ned was like went to the fair for the first time, and he's like,
he's like a little boy. Yeah, he was so. Oh my god! And then, I did like the rowing technology for like their practice machines, like the giant like fan thing
giant
up
wheel,
on this box. That was pretty cool.
What, the one that had like ropes attached?
Yeah,
to it?
yeah, I like that thing.
I looked at that and I was like, what a crappy rowing machine.
Mm-hmm.
A horrible rowing machine.
Original rowing machine.
And like like they how he treats, basically they make all these implications that he's just a horse to the Knox guy, because he literally is lifting weights in the horse barn. And he talks about him being like a horse. He talks about being an investment gone sour. Like he's very much treated just like he's like, this is a horse we're putting in the race. And, kind of like you're betting on this race like you would horse racing, and he's just another horse. So it's kind of got a lot of that undertones too, or you wouldn't call them undertones, I guess. They're right there. I
liked the I actually liked that character of Knox, though. I think more than Nicolas Cage's character, and it was played by Christopher Plummer.
Right? Yeah, recognize him. I think the other actors in this movie were pretty good for the most part. Most of the main characters, I thought they were okay. I'd say this is probably one of Nicolas Cage's lower ones that we've seen so far, if not his lowest.
I mean, this movie is great to me because it brings up a central question. Is like when we talk about the ranking of Cage, are we talking about ranking the movie overall as just a movie, or are we talking about ranking it as a piece of Nicolas Cage memorabilia or whatever, or a piece of Nicolas Cage content? Because in terms of Nicolas Cage content, it's not that great. There's a much better out there, but as a movie, it's okay.
Yeah. I think mostly it's as a movie, but you just include Nicolas Cage performance as an appropriate percentage.
Well, I want people out there to know that when I give my rating, I'm thinking of how much you can enjoy Nicolas Cage in this movie. That's all I think about.
Should we rank this one?
Yeah.
All right, you want to go first, Josh?
Well, I mean, I guess the scale only goes up to S, right? There's nothing above S.
Yeah.
Technically.
Yes.
Hold on.
I mean, I don't know it's hard. There's a lot to balance with this movie because I'm also thinking about was this better than Moonstruck? I don't know. It's hard. I'm trying to think of it in relation to the other ones. I don't know. I guess I'll just provisionally start by giving it just a nice round score of a D.
A D, really?
Yeah, that's what I think. I what I'm rating for, so you know,
Hey.
I don't think it's that Cage content.
Okay, all right. I thought it was a little better than that, but anybody else want to go next?
All right, well, let's pad the stats, bro.
All right, well, I think that I actually wasn't too bored with this movie. I was okay with it. A bit slow, but I thought I was okay with the story. But it's like a movie that it's better than I thought the baseline of the story might deserve to be, but also it's still just kind of a movie about rowing that's kind of slow and doesn't have a lot of, it's very much just about this story in the 1800s and how interesting can that really be? And then you got to consider there's a bunch of other movies out there to watch. So I think I give it
in 1986.
Right. I'm torn between a C and a C plus because I feel like it's actually an okay movie. I I want to give it a C plus, but do I really think that about it?
Have we given anything else a C plus? Like,
I
what
think
else? I'm trying to.
C plus might be my highest Cage rating to this point.
Actually, yes, it is. And that was Racing with the Moon.
Racing with the Moon was a C plus?
For you, it was.
Oh, I didn't see that
All
one.
right. I think this is probably with Racing with the Moon.
This movie made me miss Birdie.
Oh no!
Racing with the Moon. I go with C. If the music was better, it'd be a C plus. I give it a C.
I thought you loved the music.
No, I like the electronic music scene. That was awesome. That was the coolest thing they could have done. But the other stuff kind of. I'll go with a C.
I looked up some Rotten Tomatoes reviews.
What is it?
The score is childish. Almost sounds like the scene or the score used on your average episode of He-Man.
Right.
I love that.
You want to go next, Kudo, or you want me to go?
I'm sure, but So this movie was dull, uninteresting. My grandma would probably defend this movie by saying it's based on a true story, but as this movie has demonstrated, along with numerous Lifetime movies, that not all real life stories are interesting to watch. Whether that's because the story itself is uninteresting or because of a terrible script, I genuinely don't know.
Did you really have to bring Lifetime into this? That seems offensive.
Not any more than this movie was.
Wow. All right, what is it?
Life is inherently boring.
No, this movie is this movie was just dull, and I feel like it's probably the most offensive part about it. I'm saying E.
An E, okay. All right.
Wow.
By the end of the movie, I'm just like, this is a cliche sports movie. There's nothing in here that's remotely interesting. It's a boring sports movie covering, and no offense to the rowers out there, a sport that is just inherently uninteresting to watch. So,
oh my god,
taking all of that together,
tearing down the rowers. All right, Quinn, we've given you quite the range here.
Yeah, I think it was definitely boring, but I do have to give credit to like its story. Like you said, it tells a good story, and it's obviously based on a true story, which is kind of cool. I'm gonna go with a D plus, just because I think Nicolas Cage should not have been in the movie. Like he should not have been playing the boy in blue. I think they probably could have found someone that would have played him or would have played the character better. And then the music for me there was too many times where I was like, what the hell am I listening to? This is supposed to be the 1880s.
Right.
But yeah, I thought my favorite part of the movie was like the back behind the scenes stuff of like trying to rig each race and stuff like that. I thought that was kind of interesting because I think that's something that doesn't get covered as much as I think it does. I don't know, especially in the 1880s. I don't know. I haven't really watched any movies that are like similar in that capacity.
Sure. Yeah.
So I think that's like a cool and interesting aspect of it. But yeah, I think a D plus. I was between a C and a D plus, but I think D plus. So
Gotcha.
but yeah.
All right. Well, let's bring up our overall ratings then. So it sounds so we got a C, a D plus, a D, and an E. It sounds like this is gonna end up somewhere in the D tier, if I had to guess. So we got Moonstruck, Birdie, Valley Girl, and The Boy in Blue all in the D tier. Does anybody think it should be higher or lower than the D tier? I basing on what I've heard, I think it ends up in the D tier.
I think D is fair.
So then the question is,
of the rankings, yeah, I would agree it's fair.
then do we think it's better or worse than do we put it below Valley Girl or below Birdie or below Moonstruck or above Moonstruck?
Oh, damn.
I think
I personally think Moonstruck was better.
Yeah,
I feel like it might be
Moonstruck's
worse
better.
than Valley Girl.
Right. I think I'm between putting it above or below Valley Girl. Unless we think it's
I think it's better than Birdie.
I think it's better than Birdie too, actually.
I wholeheartedly disagree.
All right, Josh, where are you at between Birdie and The Boy in Blue?
I would say that we should put The Boy in Blue. I mean, that's tough, man. I guess, I mean, I would probably put it, I'd probably just put it behind Moonstruck, you know?
Yeah, above Birdie?
Probably not. I'm like nostalgic for Birdie, but like Birdie was terrible.
All right, The Boy in Blue.
Poor Kudrow.
Hey, you know, I'm fine with being the lone voice of reason who gets overruled in this council.
Wait, what I'm sorry, Kudrow. What did I miss?
Well, so Quinn and I thought it should go above Birdie. Kudrow thought it should go below, and then you gave us a 3-1 majority that it should go above Birdie.
Wow, I didn't even know that I was
I'm the only sane man on this council, which is fine.
All right, so
it was never appreciated in its time.
The Boy in Blue goes into the D tier just behind Moonstruck.
And also, the other guy calls Nicolas Cage a barbarian. Is that the word you were trying to remember when he's like they're insulting each other, and you're like, what was that?
Yeah, maybe that's what it was.
Like that, though. It's kind of it doesn't sound right coming out of the actor's mouth.
Right. All right. Our next Cage movie. Now, don't be too upset because after this one,
Treasure.
No, we're still.
Oh no!
Oh, we're still in the 80s. We still got several 80s movies to go.
Raising Arizona is after this one, which is supposed to be really good, but we got Peggy Sue Got Married.
Oh, I think I've seen that one.
What do you mean you've seen that one?
I feel like my parents used to watch that.
Oh gosh.
But I think by the title, this movie is going to be terrible.
But I think after we get through this one, then we get into Raising Arizona. Then I think we're into I think we're close to like 90s Cage movies where there's going to be a lot. Oh, it's on Paramount Plus. So there you go. You can watch it on.
This one also came out in 86. So
oh, really?
He was filming movies like this is like back to back.
Directed by Francis Ford Coppola.
Oh, it's directed by his dad? Yeah, so Peggy Sue Got Married is our next Cage movie. Josh, you got any video game and entertainment topics for us this week?
I didn't make it to Diamond in Rocket League before the season ended.
Ooh, did you get close?
I got to Plat. I got to Plat 2, I think.
Gotcha.
But that was it. Yeah, no, I just kept. It's like I've started to hate standard because I'm just like there's too much going on. I've been playing just solo. I've been playing solo or doubles because I can actually control things because there's like not a million collisions happening everywhere.
Just get good.
Yeah, yeah. You're not the first person to tell me that.
Yeah. So, all right. Any other hot topics? I thought I had one earlier today, but I've forgotten. I had my rant about Overwatch. Yeah. Anyways, So yeah, we got next week for ranking of video game movies. We're going to be starting the Angelina Jolie Tomb Raider movies. So that's the first one of those on HBO. And ranking of Cage, Peggy Sue Got Married. We're in process of playing through the original Diablo. So in a few weeks, we'll be going over that. You can find us here every Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. You can find me on Twitter at Voltron City. You can find Josh on Instagram at Semanticalities. You can find Quinn on our Twitter handle at Media Club. The audio version of these podcasts upload to podcast feeds eventually. If you want it and I haven't uploaded it fast enough, just tweet at me. I've been getting them out there. If you like the show, follow us on Twitch and YouTube. Subscribe on your podcast platform of choice, and we'll see you next week.
See you guys.
Good night, everyone.